Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and it is finally here, the Hound to go alongside Packmaster Shyek. This was promised to us. I don't know, when was Packmaster Shyek? We'll have to check in a second. It's been over a year, I'd say, but it's finally here. One thing I will say about this Hound, he does have an interesting stance in the game, right? Kro'khad the Throatripper. We're going to look at his full skill set and everything, but it does look like they've put some pretty good work into making this guy actually look pretty cool. So I'm definitely happy with that. It's not like a quick phone it in, copy paste of another champion. From what I can see, it seems to be like a totally different model and rigging and probably animations, which is sick. Here's what Player has to say, by the way. Next Monday, the 28th of July, they're going to be launching him. Kro'khad the Throatripper. He's from the Orcs. He's a legendary attack-based champion. He's magic affinity. Do you hear the howling in the distance? A new beast joins the hunt. Kro'khad the Throatripper is the latest addition to Packmaster Shyek's fearsome pack, a loyal hound eager to tear into PvE battles, and especially ruthless against the Hydra. When fighting alongside their master, Kro'khad's morals and skills are boosted even further, unlocking their full potential. His morals are boosted? What does that mean? Okay, we'll check it out in a sec. Let's go. Actually, so it was actually slightly over a year ago. It was the 4th of July 2024 when we had the Packmaster Shyek fusion, which is, it's nuts. It's been almost a year. No, it's been over a year. It's been slightly over a year. But here we are. Here he is. Let's take a look at his kit. Is he worth the hype? Let's go. So I already had a quick glance through this kit, and what's instantly striking to me is that he gets way better when Packmaster Shyek is there. So yeah, we'll see that as we go through his different skills. So his A1, Hound Tyrant. Attack all enemies. This attack does single target damage to each target individually rather than AoE damage. Will ignore reflect damage buffs, pain link debuffs, and ally protection buffs. This attack also deals double damage when counterattacking if Packmaster Shyek is on the same team. Now, if we jump over to Packmaster Shyek, what's interesting here is, where is he? Here he is. On his A1, he does an ally attack. He teams up with any ally hounds, and they'll use their default skills. Now, that is not a counterattack. It's an ally attack. But his passive, whenever Shyek is attacked, all ally hounds will counterattack. So there you go. Whenever Shyek is hit, old Kro'khad over here is going to counterattack and do double damage, which I imagine is going to hit really hard. It is AoE. Ignoring reflect damage, pain link, ally protection is pretty niche. That to me screams Faction Wars. Yeah, that screams Faction Wars. I think the boss, I don't know if it's up today. I've been away for the last few days, so I haven't really had... Oh, it is up today. Haven't really had much time to prep it, but yeah, the purple boss is the final boss of Faction Wars Hard. No, this isn't the one that does pain link, but he is a nasty one. He does, yeah, he is a nasty boss. It is the hardest stage 21 boss. I've not cleared it yet. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Sorry, I brought the wrong thing. Here we go. That's his A1 though. Interesting stuff. Festering Jaw, his A2 is a 4, goes to a 3-turn cooldown. Attack all enemies, puts an extra hit on enemies under 2 or more debuffs. Then has a 75 booking to 100% chance of placing Leech and Weaken for 2 turns, and they cannot be resisted if Shyek is on the team. This is also, I mean, he's a damage dealer that's going to be terrible in Arena. Like, this is not an Arena damage dealer. Maybe if you have, like, the Orc faction unity, you could maybe do something with it. But it's pretty tough because you're going to need Shyek on the team. Shyek himself is not an amazing Arena champion by any stretch of the imagination. You need the two of them together. It's awkward. Then a lot of the power from this AoE attack is surely going to come... I mean, it's effectively double damage if the enemy's under 2 or more debuffs. That's fairly difficult to guarantee in Arena. Whereas, obviously, again, something like Hydra, which is clearly what he's designed for when we see his kit here... yeah, he's going to absolutely rip through Hydra. He's going to be triggering extra hits like crazy. And that extra hit should also pretty much be a single target hit. So that should ignore, because it will single target check every single enemy. So that will also ignore the AoE damage reduction that Hydra has. Single target damage versus AoE damage. There are masteries. There's champions like Duchess that reduce AoE damage. So it is generally useful, but its biggest use is, of course, against Hydra. Let's clarify that as well. Each of the Hydra heads gives you a chunk of damage, gives them a chunk of damage reduction to AoE attacks. In particular, the Head of Suffering has the biggest reduction. So there you are. Leech and Weaken, generally very useful debuffs for PvE. I will say we've had about 10 Weaken champions so far in 2025 infusions. Obviously slightly exaggerating, but not by much. We've had so many Weaken champions. Which is interesting. It was definitely a debuff that was too hard to get in the past. Now they're really gone crazy giving it to us, which is fine. It's just a bit weird that they've gone so hard. Like, there are other buffs and debuffs that we're kind of lacking. We could use more of those as well, Plarium. So don't slow down necessarily in giving us more options, but perhaps expand the scope of the options we're getting. I don't know. Yeah, again, having Shyek on the team is going to be huge, right? He doesn't need accuracy for anything else. So being forced to build like whatever 300-ish accuracy for Nightmare Hydra, if you've got area bonuses maxed out, you're going to need a good chunk of accuracy. Having to build that versus not needing to build it is a nice little damage boost. It's pretty substantial. And also makes it more consistent too, which is cool. Dominant Predator is A3, is a 4 bucks to a 3-turn cooldown, attacks one enemy, ignores 50% defense, as well as Life Barrier and Poison Cloud, and effects that redirect attacks, damage, or debuffs to another target. Repeat this attack once if Packmaster Shyek is on the team. Again, so straight up with the Shyek synergy, this attack just does double damage. Right? Your damage dealer does twice as much damage if Shyek is on the team. That's nuts, right? Ignoring 50% defense, this is likely going to hit extremely hard. They nearly always do. Yeah, these are the hardest hitting moves. So it's going to be a huge single target attack. You definitely want Shyek. It will do double damage. Although, if a head is decapitated, he might hit hard enough that the second hit won't actually land, which is a big problem with the decapitated heads having limited HP. A lot of you guys left that comment on a recent video, and it's something I'd forgotten to mention, but I do obviously think it's a huge problem. Decapitated heads with their limited HP bars, which is something I wish they would actually change back, actually, to unlimited HP bars. It really benefits massive single target hits like Titus or Trunda, and it really punishes multi-hit characters, because, yeah, the multi-hits just get interrupted or ally attack gets interrupted. Hey, it's a topic for another video. But ignoring Life Barrier and Poison Cloud, obviously very strong for Hydra, just to make it a bit more consistent. And effects that redirect attacks, damage, or debuffs, that's somewhat unusual. I mean, the big one, the obvious one, is the Head of Mischief in Hydra. If you don't have Hex on it, he can redirect your attack. It's not going to work against him. That's cool. And this move gets better with the passive. We'll see it in a sec. Let's go. Primal Ambition. Increase this champion's attack by 5% when killing an enemy or decapitating a Hydra head, up to 25%. Increase it by 10% when killing an enemy or decapitating a Hydra head instead if Packmaster Shyek is on the team, up to 50%. So again, straight up, he's going to be better in longer wave-based fights where you can actually kill stuff and stack it up, and he's going to be good against Hydra. You put Shyek in there, and it's another chunk better. That to me is not like game breaking. That passive doesn't say you must have Shyek, but it's a nice little boost. It's a pretty strong boost, you know. Instead of being at 125% damage, you'll be at 150. So it's about, I don't know, you know, it's a good chunk more damage. You'll definitely notice it. It's not essential, I think, compared to some of the other stuff, but it's pretty huge. Then here's the big part. Instantly activates Dominate Predator skill against a Hydra head when an ally is consumed by that head if Shyek is on the team. Dominant Predator is the massive A3 nuke if Shyek is there. So yeah. And then finally he's gotten a 30% attack in all battles aura, which is standard and very solid. Yeah. He's an interesting one. My initial thoughts on him are, if you have Packmaster Shyek, this guy's going to be freaking crazy. If you don't have Packmaster Shyek, this guy seems terrible, right? It really is like that. He kind of only works if you have Shyek. Now, this is the thing. If you've been playing for, you know, say a year and a half, there's a pretty good chance that you have Shyek. You would have been playing for like 6 months or so by the time his fusion came around. You know, yeah, there's a pretty darn good chance you have him. If you're a newer player, you might not have him. So that becomes, it's a very tough sell. Now, my thoughts would be, I don't know exactly how good he's going to be. just in general, because we haven't tested him. He's a damage dealer. Damage dealers more than any other champion. It depends on, well, how much damage they do is kind of the crucial thing, right? His kit looks really strong, but it really comes down to how much damage he does and how tanky he is, etc. He's got nothing to keep himself alive. So yeah, there you go. I think he looks pretty rubbish for Arena. I definitely wouldn't be looking at him for that. I'm definitely thinking about him. He could be really strong for Hydra. He could be very, very, very good for Faction Wars Hard. And he'll be good for Curse City. He could be good for stuff in the future as well. I can tell you right now, Nub, what are you doing? I'm 100% doing this fusion. Unless he weirdly sucks, which I think is extremely unlikely. I do expect his damage to be very good. I am definitely getting him purely for Faction Wars Hard. That is more than enough for me. I think Orcs is very difficult. I need to finish off these last few stages. He's going to be stupidly helpful. Yes, all of his Hydra stuff is not going to work there, but he's going to be slamming out massive counterattacks because I can run PACKMASTER, and PACKMASTER has Taunt. Very strong for those waves, which is a problem. The Leech and the Weaken are going to help me kill the wave faster because I don't have I have other options for Weaken, but he'd be better, I think. And the Leech is going to be great. And yeah, you know, he's also got that massive single target nuke. So if there's something really obnoxious like a Narcisse or a Tetsuya or whatever, I can go, I just want to kill that enemy. I just want them dead. These massive single target nukes are incredibly good for Faction Wars Hard. So I think for Faction Wars Hard, he's going to be insane. For Hydra, he's probably going to be pretty darn crazy, and especially for full auto. Just leave him in on full auto, and you get devoured at a bad time. You get some bad poison cloud luck. There's a life barrier up on the head, and they eat your champion. No problem. He's just going to instantly smack them with a huge single target nuke that ignores it. Or, oh, Head of Mischief ate my Hex champion, and he doesn't have Hex on him. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Guess what? He just ignores that. He just smacks it down and breaks them free instantly. So I think he's going to be super nice for full auto Hydra teams. Now, obviously, I'm trying to build like a Trenda full auto team, a Titus full auto team. So I only have one more team. You know, like I'll probably just use Thor or Ninja or something stupidly good as well. So I don't know if he'll actually be useful for me in Hydra, but I'll grab him anyway. For me, it's really about Faction Wars Hard. And that's what I would say to you as well. Going back to my point, if you don't have PACKMASTER Shyek, I would probably still grab this guy. I know he's gonna be bad though. Until you pull a PACKMASTER, he will be kind of bad. You might never pull a PACKMASTER. This guy might always be useless to you. But if you're in a reasonable position where you can do a fusion, I think it's probably still worth it. Unfortunately, just for, you know, yeah, just for the potential of them in the future. But we'll see for sure when we actually see it coming out. Now, if that sounds shitty to you, you're like, I only want to do a fusion if they're instantly useful right now, which is a viable way to play. That's totally viable. Not worrying about the future, because half the time or more, that doesn't come to pass and be useful anyway, right? You just say, I want them to be useful right here, right now. I think it's very unlikely that he is useful right here, right now, if you do not have Shyek. So there you go. And yeah, we'll see when we test him. Potentially you do have Shyek, but you've got such a strong account that you don't need this champ. But I do think that tough faction, I think most people have found Faction Wars Hard ridiculously hard, right? And I would expect hard faction stuff in the future. There's always the possibility, right? We waited a year for a Hound. I mean, they could easily come around in 6 months' time and be like, surprise, here's a Void Hound to go at Shyek as well. Like, they could do whatever the heck they want. So we'll see. I'll see if I can ask them if there's anything intended about that when we actually come to test the fusion over the next few days. It doesn't start until Monday. So, yeah, we've got some time to make our final decision. I think Shyek is quite underrated, by the way. So he's got, like, he gets much better if the Hounds are there as well. He gets his buffs protected, which is cool. But he basically, Taunt is quite nice against enemies that will target him with the taunt, because then it will trigger the counterattack from his passive. The cool thing about Shyek, which we didn't know at the time of his fusion, it sounds weird, is ally attacks on targets under Hex placed by this champion do 20% more damage. Now, this is just confusing because there's a move in the game, like ally attack, right? Lady Mikage, it's an ally attack. Everyone joins in. Heck, even Shyek himself, which makes doubly confusing. He has an ally attack on his A1, right? It's not that. It's just all attacks. All attacks on a target under Hex just do 20% more damage. You just do 20% more damage with attacks. Not debuffs, but with attacks, you do 20% more damage to enemies that have Hex placed by him, which is phenomenal. That's extremely good. So yeah, then he also has a nice turn meter boost, block buffs. I think probably Shyek is likely, spoiler warning for the showcase I will do. I do think that Shyek will probably be best in like Relentless, just fast, relentless, reasonably tanky, just to try cycle through his moves quickly. And I think that the Hound will probably be 6-piece Merciless or more. Yeah, you can't run Slayer because he's got that big single target attack. Well, I guess you could, but it wouldn't be as good. But yeah, I think like 6-piece Merciless, yeah, with medium speed and then just as much damage as possible. And he's looking pretty good. Let me know what you think, though. That's Kro'khad the Throatripper. Yeah, I think newer players, you might be, burnt out after the Titus fusion. And yeah, I mean, I will say that's the one criticism I would have of this for sure is that we've just had Titus, who's very reliant on Wixwell. Yeah, that's a massive problem. We just had Titus, who kind of needs Wixwell. And now we're having this Hound, who kind of needs Shyek. I don't mind that being a thing, but I think that 2 of them back to back, that's a little rough, right? 2 fusions that rely on previous fusions. That feels like, something you do maybe once a year. And it's like, okay, that's cool. I think 2 of them back to back. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Let me know what you think. But there we go. That's him. I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, that's it. Goodbye.